I'm Jennifer Bilbo. Thank you for watching the Peace, Love, and Awareness podcast. My guest today is Mark, and he is going to be talking about his out of body experiences. Thank you, Mark.
It's nice to be here. I love talking about it, to be honest. It's just something that happens, and you don't really get a chance to talk about it because people think, oh yeah, whatever. It's especially people who are close to you, and I've had some really crazy experiences. I don't care what people think about that though. I'm happy to talk about them. Kind of first started when I'm 48 now, but all this started when I was in my 20s. I got into the occult, tarot, trying self-hypnotism and stuff to astral project, because I possibly did it as a child. I'm not 100%, but I wanted to do it. So yeah, I put a lot of effort into learning how to do it. And then I thought it was all rubbish. Nah, because nothing were happening. I was just going to sleep. So I thought, yeah, people are just dreaming. Cut 6 years in, or something like that, after all this effort I put in. One night I was laid in bed, and then all of a sudden, oh, paralysis. If you've ever had sleep paralysis, it's the most frightening experience you can imagine. You're awake, but you can't do anything. You're in total panic mode, fear. There's an old woman at the end of my bed staring at me, that kind of thing. And you're horrified. You can't move. You're stuck in this paralysis. And it was happening 2 or 3 times in a week. I didn't even want to go to sleep. So I put up with that for about 6 months. And then we moved house, and things changed. It could be to do with location. Some people say it's location. I don't know. Things changed. I was in bed one night, and then I got this thing, and it'd be at the side of my head, breathing in my ear. It was worse than, well, I used to call her a witch that used to hang around at the end of the bed. So it was right up close, personal, breathing in my ear, and that really used to freak me out. And then suddenly, just out one night, I don't know what made me do it. I was sick of it anyway at this point. I just kind of turned, because normally you're just so paralyzed, you can't move at all. You can't do anything. You just got to put up with it. But I managed to twist, and as I twisted, I kind of slid out, and I saw this thing, and it was like a demonic looking thing, to be honest. That's my only way. But it looked a little familiar. Like, can't explain it, but it like I've seen it before, but and to describe it, I'd say it was like a decaying looking thing. That's all I can say. And I grabbed it, and as I grabbed it, I shot upwards with him. I'm saying it's to him because I'm pretty sure it was. Shot up out of my body through the ceiling, and as we went out through my roof, I went like that, whoa, and threw it, and he just flew off, and then I was flying around like that, and then I went straight back into my body. And that was the first experience I had of out of body. And then from there, every time I got into the sleep paralysis mode, which is how I do it, I use the sleep paralysis. So if you ever had sleep paralysis, it means you're at that point of projection, and that's all it is, or possibly an alien, because there's all kinds of weird things that I've seen, but possibly that's all it is. So if you have ever had it, just try and put that fear to the back at you and go at the thing, and it's your best way of beating it. So now, what I do, I bring the sleep paralysis on. I use a self-hypnosis technique, which is what I've been practicing for the 6 years when nothing was happening. So some people can pick it up in months, I've heard. So what I decided to do was carry on, and I use a self-hypnosis thing. It's like I count 100 backwards constantly, and then when I get to 10, I read it in a hypnotic book years ago. When I get to 10, I slow my breathing and start to visualize 10 steps, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And then when you get to 0, there's a door, and then you just go through the door, and then all of us, you can hear like I get a frequency shift in my ears. You can hear like a zzz in both. Usually I have it in one, but this is both ears, and you know you're going into paralysis mode, and you know what's about to happen, so you're ready for it anyway. And as soon as that happens, I'm usually on my right hand side. I find that works best. I just roll out, and then you're free. You know, it's brilliant. You roll out, and then I'm in my bedroom for a bit. I'll float around my bedroom, and then I'll go straight towards my bedroom window. And the feeling of the window as I'm going through it feels really, really. You can be out for ages as well. It feels really good. I go out through the bedroom window and then drop to the floor, and it's not this realm. Let's put it that way. I've I lucid dream, so it's not lucid dreaming. I REM dream. It's not REM dreaming. It's totally different. I think when aliens abduct people, that is what they're doing. I think like when they're floating them through the window, I see parallels with that. Like when they say they felt like they're getting floated through the window, because that's exactly what I do. I've had a couple of experiences with UFOs and aliens and dead people. It's a hard thing to wrap your head around. I've never had a guide. I've never had a cord. All I know about all this is my experiences of what I've learned as I've gone along. It can be a little daunting and frightening at times. You just go with it, really. There's no point not to do it. And there's a group. If you are interested in doing it yourself, there's a group on Facebook called Astral Projection Techniques, and there's people on there right up to like the level I'm at, where I'm going out all the time, and that down to people who are just learning and trying, and everyone's sharing. And when you read other people's experiences, and they're going into UFOs, they're going into craft. I mean, I put one of my experiences up one night, and loads of people, oh, wow, that happened to me. Exact same one. The exact same thing happened to them, which really makes me think that the UFO phenomenon, well, I know it's real. There's no doubt. I haven't seen one as I'm walking around conscious, but I don't doubt it for a second. I can carry on if you like and tell you a few more experiences.
If you would kind of go into your two experiences that you had with the UFOs while you were out of body, I myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people would like to hear about those
The
experiences.
one where I was tucked up in the Sumerian, I think it was Sumerian, and the woman said, "Ground yourself," that one. And the one where they took me up and said, "I'm connected to Mead."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one night I was trying to project, and I was led on my back, and as I was led projecting, well, trying to, I was just led there, going to sleep, doing my routine, and then all of a sudden, I shut out. I just literally shut out, and there was like this energy field around me, and I couldn't move. I was struggling against it, like, oh God, And as this was happening, there was this like booming ancient voice. I can only say ancient because it was a language I didn't understand, and I think possibly it could be Sumerian, but that's a guess. I don't know what the hell it was. That's just a guess. But it was like ancient and booming, and it didn't feel good. I felt like I was being sucked up and abducted. And then I looked down, and I wasn't in my room anymore. I was I was through ceiling by that point. But it wasn't our world. There was like it was like a forest floor, and on the forest floor there was an old woman. There was a group of others as well, other people, and the old woman was like shouting up to me. Um, she was, ground yourself. And I said, I'm trying, I'm trying to. And then I just yanked away from it and crashed down onto the forest floor. I was still hovering a little bit on the forest floor. And then everything, my senses, everything was vibrating really crazily. All the twigs and leaves were floating in front of me. And then the old woman just disappeared. And then this guy just walked up to me. Just, hi, I can't even remember his name now. And this is introduced me to his girlfriend or his wife or whoever she was, and then took me off to a group. He didn't really talk about it. He didn't really say, "Oh, by the way, mate, he was just getting abducted." Nothing like that. And then boom, shot back in my body. Sometimes you can be out for what feels like a really long time, and other times, but that was quite a freaky experience. Other times, yeah, you feel like you just hardly got out. You'll stay in your bedroom almost. People who have experienced this know exactly what I'm talking about. Where you'll know what I mean when it's just a split second. That's when you just know it's not a proper projection. My sister can do it, but she spirals when she goes out of body. She doesn't like it, and no matter what I say to her, it just scares her, and she doesn't want to get into it. She starts floating down the staircase, spiraling. So I think we all do it. It's just how far you want to take it yourself. Another very interesting one. This opened my eyes, this next one, especially with the alien thing. I'd projected out. I'd gone out through my window, and I was seeing UFOs everywhere. At this point, this was like last summer, the summer of it. Yeah, it was last summer. At this point, I was trying to channel them, and I was seeing UFOs everywhere all the time. They're everywhere. There's tons of them, but I couldn't get close to them. I'd started floating towards them, and then you're sucked back in your body. Well, this time it was a silver craft. It was about, I don't know, 40 feet. So it wasn't massive, but it was silver, just like what we see on TV. A blue beam hit me, and as I was floating up towards it, the hatches at the bottom of the craft were circular, and they went like that as they opened, and I went in. As soon as I got into the craft, I could see there were two floors, and everything was like really sparse and barren, and it was weird. So at this point, my memory, I don't know what happened apart from the next bit that happened. I'm on a white chair, and I'm on this white chair, and there's a level above, and these two people walked up to me. One was female, one was male, but they didn't look like lizards, or they looked like people. And I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Humans are not allowed in the craft whilst attached to your id." And I thought, what's going on? And she's like, "You shouldn't be here, really." And then all of a sudden, she stuck something on me. That's how it felt. And jump, I was back in my body. And then I wanted to go back. I did. I shot out immediately again. Whatever happened, I had an attraction to that craft that night. I shot out straight away again. And as I was going up towards the beam, her voice was in my head saying, "He's trying again. Can you believe this? He's trying again." And then I got pushed back into my body again. Like, you're not allowed. And it's like they're allowed to get you when you're in your subconscious, but when you're attached to your subconscious, that's I researched id afterwards. When we're attached to our subconscious, we're not allowed in for some reason. We've got to be fully detached. Consciousness must have to leave physical reality behind. And I suppose if it was like a hologram situation going on, you could almost kind of make sense. I've thought about it a lot, and I definitely know that when you lucid dream, you're close to astral projecting, but you're not astral projecting. A lucid dream as well. And you just wake up in a nightmare and realize you're dreaming, basically. You can't fly. That's the only similar the only similar thing about the two is that you can fly. But apart from that, they're not the same thing. I've heard people argue that they are, and even dreaming people think that they're astral projecting, but we're always attached in the subconscious. So a lot of our experiences are our minds figuring things out. But when you do go fully out, you have detached. I believe that 100%. The experience is about 100%. You leave your physical body behind, and I've come to a theory that they can just get us at will whenever they want. Boom. Right. I'll tell you about my latest one, which also I think it's a UFO. I mean, I've had that many, and they just stick in my brain. I write them down, the details, the nitty gritty. But they're just so. It's just like, say, I went to Blackpool. It's a seaside town here in England. If it's just the same. If I went to Blackpool 3 or 4 months ago, say, or weeks ago, and I could remember it, that's exactly how these experiences are. I can't forget them. My very last one was this week. It happened. It happened on Monday night. Straight away I knew, because I've not gone out for 2 months at this point. And when it gets like that, because it's so addictive and you like going out, because it can be a little scary. Nothing like what people, I think a lot of people have put a lot of fear around astral projecting that doesn't need to be there. More all of them are positive, apart from the paralysis. They're all positive experiences. I know people have had bad abduction experiences, and I can understand why. I mean, some alien has just invaded your space and took you away. But this last one, this last one that happened, I slid out like normal, just went on the right hand side, and I could hear the frequency shift. And as soon as I went out my body, I did my normal thing. I went through the window. It's a bit like Earth, but it's not. It's more like Twilight to this place I go through sometimes. And when I was flying for quite a while, flying along, And then all of a sudden, there was like this glass structure, and it was a big thing, big building. So I flew straight into it. When I got in there, everybody was confused. They didn't have a clue what was going on. And they were talking amongst themselves. I can remember bits of the conversation. I actually chirped in and said, "Well, I'm astral projecting. My body's at home in bed. Maybe you're astral projecting too. Have you not thought of that?" And some were talking by, "Oh, right, oh," and then every so often, a digital voice had come through a speaker. Like number 48, get to the, like, and that woman or a guy would just go hypnotic, walk over to like a door, press a button, and then just walk in. And that was going on all the time on this level. There was a level above. So I floated up to this level above, but these people were even more confused than the ones below. I don't think they were people dreaming, or because that's my theory. These people were dreaming of being abducted and they didn't realize it. I think I were in a space I shouldn't have been in, but I pushed my luck and I got away with it. I didn't get kicked out, which I was really surprised about. But these people seemed dead, like physically dead, and they were questioned. That's what the conversation was. Like some could remember bits, some could, and I, like I said to this lady, I said, "Do you think you died in an accident?" And her face, that's what it was. I must have died, right? But others just didn't want to accept this information. So, and I was out for a really long time. It felt, might not have been, but it felt like a long time. I think that might be due to the period of having 2 months of nothing, because there was points where I've been at a level where I was doing this I've been out 3 times in a night. I've gone out in the day too. You can do it in the daytime. It's just putting yourself in a meditative state. But I thought I'd cracked the code, and then no, I still have periods of like 2 months where nothing happens. Yeah, so that was my latest experience. I think it was a UFO kind of holding place. That's what I've got it down to. That it's not nothing religious going on here. There's nothing spiritually religious going on. It's, in my mind, it's nefarious. But there's some nice ones. I've met bad ones and I've met nice ones. I didn't know this at the time, but I projected out one. I go to like a forest a lot as well. I just honestly think we're skipping between the timelines, and we're skipping between different realities. That's just what I think we do. We do, and we can. Time and space, basically. I think we're just hacking it. And their technology is so much better than ours that we must be like dumb humans to them. Not so I can imagine it. So I I think the Palladium, not 100%, and it's only because I read after the fact. Um, I, I went out to this place where I normally go, and this place is creepy as hell. It's really creepy. You get there and you think, "I don't really want to be here. I want to go home." But you push yourself and you think, right, I'll go a little further. There's always a little narrow track and forest on either side. Uh, and this demon thing is just stood at the tree looking at me like this. And I was walking towards him at this point, and I couldn't avoid him. So I just, come on then, and I ran at him. And he just squealed and ran off into the woods. But I don't think it was me that frightened him. I think it was the ones that I turned round and there's like a hazy glowy. There's like 6 entities flying around above, and they all had really beautiful auras. Like orange, blue, green, purple. There was a blonde woman, and the others, I think they called them Nordics or Palladians, one of them. I'm not that clued up on all the ufology stuff, to be honest. It's just, I believe it. So I flew up towards them because I thought, oh, this looks interesting. And as I flew up towards them, I flew up and I was like underneath her. And the other 5 guys was just flying around in formation. And she smiled at me and went like that. So we flew down and we landed on the floor. And she said, would you like to know what this is all about? But not like I'm talking to you now. It wasn't like that. It was just telepathic. And that's the only reason why I think they were Palladium, because I read it in the group I was in, the group I met you, actually. So she said, do you want to know what it's all about? I said, of course, I want to know what it's all about. She said, right, come here, we'll show you this. So we just walked a little way, and this forest place is a strange place, but I've heard of it off others. Other people experience this place as well. So something's going on there. And 10 or 12 identical women, jet black hair, like clones. And do you know, she said, there you go. And I thought, that's what it's like. They give you cryptic little messages like this. So I said to the guy, I said, whoa, what's that telling me? Are we in a parallel situation? And he went, of course, kind of thing. You've got it. But I don't think that's what it was. I've looked into it further, and I've been using the AI, the new AI feature. And I just I typed in astral projecting into the 10 dimensions of space-time, and I was blown away by what the AI told me and showed me, and how it explained it all. It made perfect. It was pretty mind blowing. So yeah, alien wise, that's as far as I can go. Basically, I've seen. Oh no! I've seen the Greys. Oh yeah, I've seen the Greys. I forgot about that. See, I've got so many of them. Got so many.
Yeah, I would love to hear about that. And then, if you don't mind, I've got some
That,
questions for
that's
you.
questions I'll love. That's a common one. The one that happened to me. A lot of people in abduction groups have said it's happened to them. One woman said that happened to me in the 1980s.
Are you
So
referring to your experience with the
yeah,
Grays?
yeah.
Do
Like,
you mind just kind of, I know we spoke about it prior, but would you mind just kind of going into that and telling,
oh,
everyone listening
yeah,
about that experience in particular?
no, I don't mind at all. What happened with this? Little different. I think this experience, I could have still been attached to the id, possibly. Seemed a little different, but could have been astral projection. I'm not 100% sure. But the Greys, I've only seen the Greys once, and this happened then. I shot up. It's something always weird when you don't do your normal thing. You go to weird places. I've shot backwards. I've shot up, and you always end up in strange places. Well, this I shot up, and I was right above Earth, and I could see Earth, and it was beautiful. Just hovering in space, looking at Earth, and then something just got my attention. I'm turning around and there's like this white tunnel, and at the edge of it, there's these 3 Greys, and they just stood observing me. And I looked at them, and then I turned back, and the earth was on fire, literally fire, flames everywhere. Then a big telecast screen was lowered in front of my face, with a 24-hour countdown, 24, 23, 22, and it sounded like nuclear missile warnings and missiles were going to be going off, and then I just shot back into my body. But when I wrote that experience and told others about that, a lot of people said, "Do you know what? I've seen the exact same thing." That's what happened to me when I was abducted by the Greys. So maybe they're giving us a message, like calm down, guys. You're blowing you're going to blow the planet up, or I don't know. It's a weird one. It feels imminent. I don't want to put people on a downer, but I've got a splinter in my mind that this is going to happen. And I've even been given it. Yeah. Do you want to cut it there?
And when did that experience happen?
That wasn't long ago. That was only about 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't long ago. I mean, the prediction one was a dream, the 2034, but that's a weird timeline, isn't it? To be given that in 2000 and I don't know what it was, 9, 10, really in the early 2000s, that one. But that was so graphic. And so, that's why they stick in my mind. It just felt so real. But that was a dream. That wasn't projected.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have some questions, like I mentioned, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me get my
I can see you
handy
there.
dandy notebook. I'm sorry?
Have you got an air fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had one of them. I'd love one because it does get. We could do with air conditioning here, to be honest. Right, I'll let you do the
I
question.
mean, we're just like, we're very fancy over here. Very
You
fancy.
are. It's an expensive state, isn't it? I mean,
What?
America quite expensive. Well, Florida is. What Rachel, my friend, been telling me about Florida and the price of fuel and the price of keeping her.
How much is fuel in Florida right now?
Um, I can't. It was quite a while ago when we were messaging, but it was like still cheaper than here. I mean, it's crazy. What I just cycle everywhere. I don't even bother
How
with the
much
car.
is it there?
Here it's what is it, £4 a gallon or something like that.
Yeah, it's like three. I live in North Carolina. Do you know where that's at?
I'm not that good with geography.
That's okay.
Uh,
It's on the
it's
east coast of
central.
the United
Oh,
States.
yeah, of course.
And yeah, if you look at the east
That side.
coast, you've got New York on the top. You got
Yeah,
Florida on the bottom. North
I'll check.
Carolina's right in the middle.
I've definitely heard of North Carolina.
Yeah, yeah.
We were brought up as Mormons, unfortunately. My mum tried to indoctrinate us all. I
Yeah.
wasn't born into it. I
Yeah,
wasn't
there's not
born into it.
really Mormons in North Carolina, I don't think.
No, no, I went to Utah once.
Oh, I was
Well,
gonna say Utah, yeah. Yeah.
wow,
We have
crazy.
more like Baptist,
You do have a good
Methodist,
vibe.
yeah. Not so much Mormons. But yeah, Utah, that part of the country
Yeah.
has a long history of Mormons and uh Joseph, the beginning of the religion. So anyways, I digress. Um, okay, so I've got questions for you.
I just had a feeling you weren't religious.
Yeah, not particularly. I would say more spiritual.
Oh, you're
Um,
pretty. I can
in
sense
high
that.
school, I identified as like agnostic, which is
Yeah.
basically like saying I don't really believe in God, but I don't deny it because I don't know. And I'm
Yeah.
still kind of that way.
I
I
like the agnostic.
definitely believe there's something bigger than
I'm not
us, but
atheist.
I don't I'm not in a position to identify it
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm open.
Britain, our culture's really changed, you know, since the 70s and 80s and that. We're so atheist. There's more Muslims here than church going. We've got a
So
lot.
much corruption, you know. You hear about corruption in the church, and
Oh yeah, with
so
the
you can,
yeah.
but you don't
Yeah,
have to
well,
go to church to be a Christian, you know.
oh, they make me laugh. Them preachers that you're talking about, you know, when they get up on the pulpit and I'm gonna get that, save your soul.
Mhm, mhm. All right, so the first question that I have is, um, once you began attempting to astral project, how long did it take you until you were able to have your first astral projection experience?
Um, Took me a good few years, 6 years.
And how
Uh,
often were you attempting it?
at least once or twice a week, and then I got a bit more intense. You know, like trying it every night, and nothing was happening for me really. I thought it was all bullshit. Um,
Okay.
you know,
So basically, if there's anyone listening and you've been at it a while, don't give up. There's hope.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's it. Stick at it. Just keep
Yeah.
going at it.
Everyone's different. And I
Yeah,
think from my personal experience, something that I did, which I think was smart looking back, was, and I mentioned to you in particular that I've had an out of body experience. And then I've got a couple experiences that happened prior of like leading up to it when I knew like I was getting close, right? The whole
yeah, yeah.
body vibrating.
Feel it.
Um, but one of the things that I did was I would basically do it every night or every other night for like 2 to 3 months when I was heavy, when I first like really was like, okay,
Yeah.
I am going to do this. I'm doing this. Um, what I did was I didn't use the same technique every night. I would switch the technique up.
Right.
So that
That's
helped
interesting.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see why I might have been stuck in
And
a rut.
I had, yeah, so the rope technique is a very popular one.
Heard of
You know,
that
you
one.
have the hammock one, kind of like what you were saying, where you roll out of your body. You have
Yeah, I
the
found
door
that
where
to
you
me.
act like you're opening up a door and walking through it.
The
And then
visualization.
the one, yeah, yeah, that's visualization, setting your intention. But the technique that I had success with was the point of light technique.
Ah, what's this
Yeah.
one? What's the
So
technique?
it's a guided meditation, and in all of these different techniques that I just mentioned are on the site that I used, which
Right.
is totally free. It's called Rosalie Yoga, and I'll
Lord,
list it in the description
that's
below.
perfect.
She has excellent guided meditation videos. She has yoga
Yeah.
videos, but her point of light technique video, it's a guided meditation about an hour long. And basically, you call it like a lot of people sleep paralysis, but it's also
Yeah.
referred to as mind awake, body asleep.
Yeah, like the hemisync.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, binaural beats, that's in the background of the videos as well.
I have tried them, but they've never worked for me. But
So,
uh,
yeah, she uses them in combination with
oh,
the
with her
guided
guided.
meditation as the background. Yeah,
Right, right. Oh, I might try that myself as well, even because
yeah.
like I
And
said, I got to a point where I was doing
the
it.
point of light technique is basically, from your big toe up to the top of your head, you imagine all over, and it's like piece by piece, you work your way up and imagine points of light shining out of your pinky, your ring
That's
finger,
good.
and then eventually you imagine your whole self as an energetic light being, right?
Oh, that's why you did it so quickly, There were none of that.
Yep.
No one was into it when I was trying, to be honest. Well, there might have been a few, but I'm talking the 90s, like when I first got
Yeah.
into it. And
I
I think
bet,
what
I mean, you can find stuff on TV now and
yeah,
YouTube but it's
I
still
mean,
hard to come
I
by. And I bet in the
reckon,
90s it was even harder to come by information on astral
yeah,
projection,
yeah.
you
I've
know?
only ever read one book on astral projection, really, and that was a thin thing. And nothing in that book. It was a self-hypnosis book that worked for me. There was nothing in that book that was remotely. It was more like a lucid dream. Like now I think back to her experience, it was more like a lucid dream than astral projecting. Um, but yeah, don't give up. I know a guy. No, what was it? 48 hours. 48 hours, and I thought he's lying. He's got to be, but no, I've heard of others who have done it in a week.
Wait, you
So
mean as far as from the first time they tried until they had success?
yeah, and he gives me the name of all the books that he read. And just talking to him, I knew he wasn't lying as
It's
well.
definitely
Because
possible, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, I think we can all do it. We just,
I
you know
think
what,
that
we're being blocked. I definitely feel we're being blocked deliberately from going out. There's a great awakening going on, and the powers that be don't want this awakening to happen. It's going to happen, though.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to happen. There's nothing they can do to stop it. It's going to take them off the top of the chain, and this is why I think all this news is on and the Pentagon stuff and everything. Look how long they've kept it all buried from us, you know. And oh, you're cuckoo, cuckoo. If you sing out like that, you're a nutter. And
Exactly.
they used to laugh in news, didn't they? Every UFO story, good laugh. They've seen the
Yeah,
Chinese.
and at the beginning of all of her guided meditations, she kind of starts with, I believe it's called a mi sankalpa, which I believe means your heartfelt intent. And so setting
Yeah,
the intention is a big thing. Um, but basically, you're setting the intention to, get what is meant for you from the experience,
right.
and to realize that you are an energy being that is like forever and ever and
Yeah,
infinite.
guys.
Like we're more than just our physical body and what we
Yeah,
see.
we're
And so I
eternal.
think that's part of the truth that they don't want people to be
Yeah,
aware
this is why
of,
they don't want us
you
to wake
know?
up, because they've had that eternity to themselves, and we're just like dumb sheep to them. And we're the workers, aren't we? We're
Yeah,
even
because then we truly are kind of on a more evil playing field, I guess you could
yeah,
say.
yeah, like the
Maybe
darkness.
more so than like on Earth in your physical body,
Yeah, yeah. I
because
think
they've got that on lock.
well, I read a comment the other day, and it was a guy saying, "We're blessed, we're honored to be given this choice to have a body and come to Earth." And I said, "I can't remember ever being given a choice. Can you? Like to others, because what choice? I just, it's a birth lottery at best.
That's
where
what he was
you
told, I
born.
guess. And so, okay, so I have a couple more questions. Um, do you ever keep track of the time that you're out of your body? And if so, what's the longest that you've ever been out of your body?
The longest I've ever been out of my body has felt like I've been out for about 3 hours. It's been that long, that much has gone on. There's so many details that I'm skipping as I'm telling. I'm just recounting bits that have stuck in my mind. Like the one that I can recount that went on for a very long time was in that forest, and I was just flying around for ages, and flew into this. Yeah, you can sometimes you can, but you always come back. Whoever put that out there, like, oh, you don't come back into your body and you can die, and like trying to put fear into
That's
the equation.
rubbish.
It is rubbish, complete rubbish. It's
Yeah.
nonsense. There's so many people in that group, that astral projection, that ask that very question. Even my older sister, who sadly has now passed away, asked me the same thing. Are you not scared of not coming back into your body? But I do feel like just the fact that me and you can talk about it right now, it's good.
Yeah,
And
I
people,
agree.
yeah, I'm definitely going to check her out because she sounds good. She
Yeah,
just sounds
I'll
good.
definitely put her link below.
Yeah, because what I'll do with that link, I'll send you an invite to that astral group, and I'll let them know about it because they're always asking, "Can anyone send me to a good And there's not that many good ones on YouTube, is there? Really?
Mhm.
Did it take you a while?
Mm, you for what exactly?
To find Rosalie.
Oh, um, I'm like very passionate and very like
That's what I
um
meant. That's what I was saying.
I'm
There's not
like
that
all in
many.
it. So when I
Yeah,
first, became interested and fascinated and determined to do it, I was like almost like obsessed. Like
I
eating,
forgot
sleeping, it's everything that it's like all consuming.
of it.
Um so I was doing a lot of research, and like I
Yeah.
mentioned, there's not a lot out there in particular with astral projection when you compare other spiritual and paranormal topics like near death experiences. There's definitely not as much out there in terms of astral projection. And she's a pretty popular one. And once I
Yeah.
found some of her videos, I just kind of explored all the others. So not long. Not long.
Yeah. It sounds like you were ready for your journey anyway.
Yeah.
So, but if anyone is looking, I highly recommend looking into the tarot and looking into the symbolism. Carl Jung, he's brilliant, for the symbolism. The tarot, astrology. It doesn't matter if you get into it or not, but just start connecting the dots of the symbolism, because that does open your intuition right up. Yeah. It could be a combination of things. Could be the hypnosis, could have been that, but that thing breathing in me, it could have been because I was messing with tarot cards and things like that. But you know, you got to experience these things, haven't you? If you're interested, like you did, you threw yourself into it.
Exactly.
Mm.
Okay. So this is another, it's a good one. It's something I was curious about when we were speaking the other day. Okay. So you mentioned going to a level where the people were even more confused, and you saw a lady and you suggested to her that maybe that she had been in an accident and she was
Oh
dead,
yeah,
right?
I mentioned
So
that.
I'm curious, how did you know she was dead? Like, how can you tell the difference between the living and the dead beings when you
Right.
encounter them during your astral projection experience?
Yeah, good question as well. You sense
And
it.
and we
Yeah.
never die. So I mean living or dead in reference to the physical world, you know
I
what I
just
mean?
think they're lost then, but you sense they're lost. You sense that lot. Like the others were definitely dreaming and projecting or being abducted, but this group was just lost. Like, and they were even talking about the memories of being on Earth, and she said, "Well, she was in a car. I think she'd been in a car accident or something. But the other ones are far more scary. They weren't scary. I've come across ones that'll look like skeletons almost, and they sat on a bench, like they're just rotting away, sat there, and they look at you. They just stare at you as you're walking past them, but you can't. And the freakiest one I had with a spirit is I came out of my body, just rolled out like normal, but instead of going through the window, I went straight through the floor. Suddenly, I was in another house. It was an American house. I could tell with the style, and there was like a big staircase. She was under the staircase, dead, with a needle in her arm. Right? She jumped up, looked at me, and said, "How can you see me? Like, how can you see me?" And I said, "I couldn't say anything." That was the first time the other night that I've actually spoke to one person like that. Couldn't say it, nothing came out of my mouth, and she just totally screamed and freaked out, and all these things on shelf started flying off the shelf towards me, and I thought, shit, I'm getting out of here. And I shot back. I got out of there as quick as I could, and I ended up back in my body, thankfully, because there's nowhere else you can go. Your heart's beating. I think we're always connected with the heart. Yeah. So it's more of a sense that they're dead.
When you said that, it just occurred to me that I would imagine that most people like
Yeah,
myself and you are having astral experiences and going out of body intentionally. So most, not all. So we are aware,
yeah.
right? So I
It's
guess
put
in
a,
comparison, it's quite a difference from how they, carry themselves compared to someone who's kind of just like in a daze.
yeah,
So
definitely.
that
Uh,
makes sense. Their
well,
demeanors are very different.
yeah, a guy came up to me once. I was in a park. It was just like normal, and these people looked like they were dreaming. And he came up and he shook my hand. And he said, "You do know that we know you're coming here, don't you? You don't come here unnoticed." And then this sphere just went along the railings of the park, and he pointed to it. He said, "That's what you should look like." And I thought, "Oh." He said, "Right, come here," because I've always presumed I'm just me, physical me, but maybe we're not. You know, this is I'm just going off my own personal things like
How do you
and he said,
mean?
pardon,
How do you mean?
like I'm going to this realm where I think there's so many these realms. I'm going to this realm, and there's something going on in this particular realm, that's different to the alien thing. It's different. It's totally different. And he just came up to me and introduced himself. He was a nice guy, shook my hand, and he said, "You do know you're being noticed when you come here." Because I thought they couldn't see me. Because sometimes it's like they don't see you. Like you're floating around places and that, and you're not getting any attention. I've been into people's houses uh, on this plane, you know. Um, but it took me to a group of about 9 people who were projecting at the same time and showed me.
That's
They were all,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah. I've talked to people while I've been projecting. You know, that
How do
that
you
blew me.
mean?
Well, suddenly I was projecting, and like the radio frequencies kicked in, and there's a guy there. "Hello, how are you doing, mate?" And it's like, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "Hey, you okay?" It's a bit like VR chat. That's the only thing I could probably put it
So
down to.
basically, you just happened to turn to the channel that
Yeah,
he had his spiritual walkie talkie set to.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just
That's
clicked on his
exactly
channel.
that. Yeah, yeah. And I kept meeting that same guy. And there was a woman there. There was a whole group. There was about, they called themselves the Royal something. But I
Wait,
just lost.
so did you ask them like where they live?
Yeah, they said Essex, that couple. And they did have London. They did have that London accent. And we
Did
have
they
a
give you
lot
their
of.
name?
No, to be honest, that things can be cryptic. They knew my name. They did know my name. They
So
might, to be honest, that happened so long ago. I've written it. I've got it detailed somewhere.
whenever
I want to give me a book. Like some validation. That's what I was trying to get from them. Like
did you ever look up their group?
I did. I put in astral projection the purple. The royals, because the color purple and royal. But there's something about purple. Well, we know with the royal symbolism, but yeah, he said the royal something. But this guy who I was talking to, this was in the afternoon. This was about 2:30 in the afternoon. I thought I'd try it one day. And as I went out, it was happening a lot around that time. Frequency straight, but I was aware of it. It's like when I go out now, I'm not as aware of that frequency anymore. It's not there. Not until the Palladians, I think they were. Who did it the other week, month or whatever. But it was happening a lot. And he said he was a monk, and he was just meditating. And I said to him, "There's a football match. Are you watching England final tonight?" And I knew it was 2:30 in the afternoon. Even while I was out, it was light. We were definitely on Earth.
Mhm.
But he seemed like very chatty, and
That
it's
is so
so weird.
funny. That
It's
is so
weird, because you question everything. You have an experience like that, and you're just like, am I going crazy? Because I'd never heard that before in astral projecting. But then when I looked it up, it happens all the time.
What
People
what
do
do
it
you
all
mean? What happens all the time?
the communication with,
Oh,
like, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know. So, like a
yeah.
lot of this, I've just winged it.
Yep. All right. So thank you for answering that. And this is in your opinion, is dreaming a result of, and I don't mean biologically, I mean as far as the dream itself and like what's going on in the dream, right? The experience itself, okay?
The
In your
dream experience.
opinion, the
Right.
experience of dreaming.
I'm starting my theory. This is just a wild theory that I've come to.
Oh, hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
Is dreaming a result of our imagination running wild, or are we really astral traveling and unaware that we're astral traveling and unaware of who we are?
I think you've hit the nail on the head with the
Okay.
final one. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. That's the
So,
conclusion.
and I wanted to ask you this earlier. I just want to backtrack a little bit. When we were talking about being able to spot the difference between a being who is alive or dead when you're astral traveling, you mentioned seeing other beings that you knew were also astral traveling. You mentioned seeing beings that were dead and maybe unaware or confused that they were
Yeah,
dead.
yeah,
And then you also mentioned people who were dreaming. How
yeah.
did you know that these people were dreaming?
The hypnotic state they were in. It was
So
like,
it's almost like they were like doing, as far as like they're active and doing and saying stuff, but it's like if you look in their eyes, it's like an empty blank stare.
yeah. And as soon as that digital thing went, that was it. They left you, walked away from you to the digital command and pressed the button and went through the door. It was really weird.
Wait, hold
You know,
on,
like
back up. You lost me.
when you know, like they looked pretty vacant and they were very confused. But then a digital voice would come over the speakers, just shouting out their name, and then, like in a hypnotic state, they'd walk towards a door, press a button, and walk through the door. Where
What
they
would they
went,
say?
where they went, I don't know, or why that digital command told them to go through that door, or what they wanted to. I mean, I don't know
No, I
where this
mean,
place.
what was the digital command?
Their name.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like pretty pretty freaky. That's why I was
Did you ever,
surprised. I pushed my luck. That's the way I put it, because I was in there for a long time, and usually they kick you right out of places like that. You know, I've been
places
to a
like
few
what?
places. Well, sometimes when you go out, you get a feeling like you're in governmental places and things like that, like where you're not supposed to be. Like
Like you
you've,
might walk into a building and feel that way?
yeah, or you feel like remote viewing is going on, and they're aware of you, and they kick you out. It's like it's a force field kind of thing, or they push you.
Okay.
And I think the group that I was talking to was that kind of group. You know, like they thought, oh, this lad can do it. He's getting too cocky, kind of thing. We're gonna have to put a stop to this. They've not stopped me, but that's my feeling. There's like an underlying secretive thing with this, and I definitely believe in remote viewing. I believe it because of all my experiences. I can't not anymore. I mean, I stayed on the fence for so long, denying it to myself. And now I've just thought, right, do you know what? I don't care what people think. I'm just going to tell the world. I really don't care. Yeah.
Exactly. Good for you.
Well,
All right.
it
I only
happened.
have a couple more.
Yeah.
Um, while astral traveling, communication is telepathic,
Yes.
nonverbal. So,
I've,
with,
I've had kind of both.
I'm sorry.
I have had both. You know, like where you
Oh,
talk and it's like they're having a conversation back with you. But the only times it's been telepathic is when it's been others astral projecting
oh.
time.
So,
Like you
if
said,
you
you're
are if you're interacting with someone who's dead, is it verbal?
yeah, that was verbal. And I've never done it before. I couldn't even get my words out before. The only time I've ever been able to do it was in that place just now where I've been to. And it's happened a lot where all it's like you're gagged and you can't, and you're trying to get your words out and you can't say anything, but they're shocked that you can see them. You know, like they must have
It's
been
interesting.
wandering around. Yeah, I definitely believe in ghosts.
So you know what that means, right? You know what
What do
that
you think?
means, right? So
That you have
if
to,
this is my opinion and this
yeah,
is my um I'm speculating,
I
but
like
it
hearing
sound,
people's situations.
it sounds to me like the people that are dead not only see you, the people that astral travel, but they probably also see people in physical form as well.
Ah, yeah,
Because why else would they be shocked that you can see them unless there are people who can't see them, which would be
yeah,
the people who are alive.
and they're that used to it. They're that
So
used
they're
to it.
used to
Yeah,
people not being able to see them.
he was like a poltergeist. That thing. I call her a thing because she just preached. She was like a banshee or something. She was like a poltergeist. Everything just went flying off the shelves. It was like I went into, but she'd only. No, mate, you know, come to think of it, she was an overdose. So she'd been like 70s vibe. that was the vibe I got from the place. You know, like in there,
Like the
1970s.
decoration and how she was
Yeah,
dressed.
yeah, that's what it felt like.
Wow. Stuck in time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've crossed timelines. I've gone to the 1930s. That was a weird experience.
We need to get
And
together and do another video and talk about
yeah,
that.
because do you know what I'll definitely do? Or when you remember, what you can do it yourself as well, so you can look at all my experiences that I've put up so far on and other people's. So I'll just send you an invite
Yeah,
after
definitely
the.
do that.
But yeah, if I ever want to talk about it, I'm happy talking about it because I like your opinions too because it adds to mine. You know, it helps because that's all you're
Yeah.
left with. The deeper I go, the more questions I get, and a lot of the times it's cryptic, especially from the ones like the ones who seem to know. They'll give you a little hint, but it's always cryptic. And sometimes you just don't bring it back to consciousness.
All right.
Bit like
So,
a
last question. What are shadow figures? Who and what are they, and what purpose do they serve?
Do you know what I think these entities are? I think they're in a parallel realm, and they're like us as well, but they're just pitch black. I really do, and they're just shifting like into our realm. They might even be having paralysis at the exact same time as that person seeing a shadow figure in their realm. You know, like a just or what that when they showed me them figures, there's like 10 of you, you know, in these different realms. You know, like all having the same experience as you or me, living the same life, but just slight changes. You know, like slight changes in history or timeline. You know, like different things going on, and it
Yeah,
makes
that's
me
definitely a whole nother episode.
yeah. I honestly do think there's time lords, and there's so much hidden and sneaked in symbolism in our video, film, art, everything.
Yep. All
We're
right.
manipulating at every level.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the Peace, Love, and Awareness podcast. I really enjoyed hearing about your out of body experiences. And I want to say thank you for taking the time and answering my questions.
Yeah,
And I hope that everyone watching is able to get something from this. And
I
if you
hope.
would, please like, subscribe, so that way you can see all new videos as they come out.
Do the thing. Bring,
Exactly what you
thank
said.
you for having me on. I've really enjoyed it. And yeah,
All right. Hopefully, we can have a part 2 soon.
yeah, part two would be good. I look forward to it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers, mate.